Great, hi. My name is Jason Clark. I'm one of the mobile legal volunteers here at Election Protection. And at the site, we actually have somebody over here who's the inspector. And what the inspector is doing is telling people that they can't vote and not even looking at the book and sometimes. And at that point, when people are asking, what, so does that mean I can't vote at all? He's saying, no, I'm just doing my job. He isn't offering them any affidavit provisions, which is exactly what he's supposed to be doing, because people should not ever be turned away at the site. So anytime anyone tries to come over here and talk to them, he's been shouting at them. One of his supervisors at this location was told about it. She came over to discuss it with them, and she shouted at him, and he's just sitting there being pretty belligerent about what's going on.
And is this inside the location?
This is inside the location, right on the side of this door. So I think for the remainder of the time, we're going to try to stay here next to him. So at least if we see anyone being told that they can't vote anymore, that we could tell them, that's not wrong. Do not listen to what he's saying. Go downstairs, and they'll be able to take care of the information from there. Because at the very end of the day, you should at least be able to get an affidavit. And if you find out that this isn't your election or your election district is, that's fine. That's one way to do it. But you can't just tell people to leave and not look at the book to determine whether or not they're actually supposed to be here to begin with. And that's completely irresponsible.
What is the requirement in New York City for identification, or is there a requirement for identification?
Well, when it comes to identification, you don't have to have identification to begin with. But if you are this is the first time that you're voting, then what you have to do is have some type of, there might be a notation next to your name that says you have to have some type of identification. And in only those circumstances, some type of photo ID. It doesn't have to be a driver's license, but it can be a driver's license. It doesn't have to have your correct address. It can be something that's government issued, such as a government check. It can be a utilities bill. There are a lot of things that you need to have, that you can show here. So it's never really...
So it doesn't have to be a driver's license?
Terrific. It does not, correct. It does not have to be a driver's license, because there are a lot of people who don't drive. Right. And if you don't drive, that doesn't mean you shouldn't be allowed to vote. Okay. And especially if you move from somewhere else. There's no requirement in New York State that it has to have the correct address of where you're living right now just to be able to go in and vote.
Okay, so we'll stick here and find out if there are any reports of any other problems, and hopefully we'll talk to you later.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mark.
My name is Tammy Wilson. I'm a lawyer and a volunteer for the New York Democratic Lawyers Council, and I'm here as a poll monitor. I took the day off of work to just make sure that everything's going smoothly, and if it's not going smoothly, to try and remedy the situation and report it if necessary.
Okay. Have you noticed any problems at this location?
I have, with regard to one of the districts, in the 9th district, the inspector who is going through the book is not doing the best job at finding out people's names, checking to make sure that their names are not flip-flopped, where their first name is put as their last, which happens a lot, especially with more of the ethnic names that look like they're both first names or both last names, and he's not going back and forth to check those. And then when they're not in the book, instead of giving them a provisional ballot, he's just saying you're not in the book and sending them away. I've been standing there and informing people of their rights, that they are still allowed to vote via an affidavit ballot after I verify that their address is at this polling location, to make sure that their ballot will be counted, because if they vote at the wrong polling location, their ballot will not be counted.
Okay. Did you can you specify once again the precinct where that particular problem is happening?
It was in the 9th district.
The 9th district.
9th election district. Yes.
All right, and that covers which addresses?
I'm not sure. It looked like it was a lot of East, 48th, 9th, that kind of stuff. So
okay,
it was in that area.
All right, great. And if there are any other issues that you know, were any of the people that actually were turned away? Did you document their names?
I did, and okay. I was able to get them an affidavit ballot, so hopefully no harm, no foul. And I then started making announcements in line that if he does turn you away, that you are allowed to have an affidavit ballot, and you should request one if he does not offer one to you. So I don't think that anyone was turned away and not allowed to vote, while certainly not while I was standing there. Any instance that I saw, that I made sure that they were able to vote.
Okay. Thank you very much.
No problem.
So this is the spot where you said there was an issue. This is where you said there were some issues?
Yeah.
Have there continued to be any other issues?
I think he's actually remedied himself. because we saw an issue arise and he did give him an affidavit ballot. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it wasn't the guy upstairs.
No, because I heard in the morning and someone's like, oh yeah.
You can stand here as long as I don't want to.
Only if they're a registered voter and they're supposed to vote at 9.
Okay, because we had reports that some people were turned away and not given an affidavit.
Well, were they registered voters?
Well, obviously, the only person who's able to determine that is the inspector, I suppose.
Yeah.
But some people were reported that the inspector refused to give them an affidavit ballot.
That's not true.
That is not true.
Either they don't belong at 9 or they don't live in the area or they're not a registered voter.
Okay. But so as far as you know, there are no people who have been turned away for lack of, that were not given an affidavit.
I'd like to talk to them.
Okay. All right. And your name is Gussie Schultz,
Yeah.
and you're the coordinator for this location?
Yeah,
All right.
one of the co-ordinators.
Okay. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Okay.